Elizabeth Holmes, one of the most successful con artists of all time, has to report to prison in a couple of weeks. Appeal or no appeal, that is the ruling from a federal judge. Her lawyers had asked that Holmes be allowed to stay out on bail while they appeal her sentence, but the judge said no, she's got to go. Holmes and her co-conspirator Sunny Balwani were found guilty in a scheme that involved a new blood testing system which promised to be a breakthrough in healthcare. It wasn't. The company, Theranos, managed to raise almost $1 billion from investors and at one point was valued at nearly $9 billion. Holmes was sentenced to spend 11 years in prison. Her legal team claims that there were issues with her trial which could result in a new trial once the case makes its way through the appeals process. While the judge agreed that Holmes is likely not a flight risk nor a danger to the community, he said even if she won her appeal, he doubted it would actually result in a new trial or a reversal of all the counts. Holmes, who was visibly pregnant during sentencing last year, recently gave birth. As for Balwani, he will report to prison 1 week earlier than Holmes, where he will begin a 13-year prison sentence. Now, Terry, you think the judge made the wrong decision? Why? And if so, why?
Well, yeah, I do think it's the wrong decision here. Listen, first of all, she was convicted, and I do think if you're convicted of fraud in these types of crimes that you should be held accountable for what you did. But the basis for not allowing her to be out pending the appeal, clearly, and he said this, she's not a danger, she's not a flight risk, she has an entire family, she just gave birth. I mean, for all of those reasons. But the reason he said, because he agreed she wasn't a threat, he said because he didn't think she was going to win the appeal. Well, of course he doesn't think she's going to win the appeal. He tried the case, and so obviously there weren't any evidentiary issues in his mind, and so I think to decide it based on that is really not quite fair to the defendant because, you know, obviously they're going to appeal. It has some merit. She based that appeal on some of the evidentiary evidence that went in. There were witnesses who testified that the Theranos product was not accurate and she didn't think that that should get in. That's a basis for an appeal, and who knows, she could win the appeal.
Well, Brian, I mean, do you agree? And look, she was convicted. How often do people not have to go to prison while their appeal is pending?
On one hand, Jesse, I want Terry to be the judge for every one of my clients who were ever convicted.
So lenient.
Let's all get appeals. I mean, if that is a system, then I'd love it. But unfortunately, that is not the system, and the system should not be different for some over others. I feel for mothers, I feel for newborns, I get it, but the judge, I think, was correct here to say, you have appellate issues, I don't see you winning on these merits, so why should we hold off on your sentencing while you appeal? You should be treated like everyone else. If you win, you get out. If not, and it seems like you might not, you wait in jail.
Yeah, and these are serious crimes. I mean, if you think about it, 11 years, 13 years, that's something that comes into consideration as well. Brian, Terry, thank you both so much. Everyone, thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime Daily. We will see you next time as we discuss justice in America.